Hello. So, I promised I would. I'm really sorry. There is sticky sweet chili sauce on my table every time. Every time he has his dinner. Right. Okay. I'm just gonna. There's a scrap piece of paper. I'm just gonna stick it there because otherwise it's just gonna freak me out. Okay. So, I promised I would do a video on cardio versus weight training. So here we are. Now, guys. I'm going to have to time myself because I could talk about this forever and a day. And why? Because I was that cardio person. I was the person who was restricting her food, who was eating less and less and less and less, but doing more and more and more and more and never seeming to change. And that's what we're after. When people come to me and they say, I want to lose weight. No, they want to lose body fat. That's what they want to do. Actually, the weight on the scales is just a number. It doesn't actually determine how fat you are. And it doesn't give you the body fat percentage. And I know what you're going to say, like the BIA scales, la 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 la. They are full of crap, all of them. All of them, in fact, the ones that you stand on, which only take the reading from your feet upwards, are even worse than all of them. And it's cringe to see people use that as a tracking method of what their actual body fat is. Because again, I used to do the same. I used to go on there, and I'm not knocking anybody for this, nor am I in this video knocking anybody for doing cardio. Because cardio is healthy in moderation. I do walking as my cardio. That is the main source of my cardio. And it's low intensity. It doesn't spike my cortisol. It does improve my recovery because it increases blood flow. And actually, it's better to go for a walk than it is to sit on your ass thinking, oh, I've done a really hard session. Now I'm going to sit down and recover. And this is going to help my body more than going for a walk. No. Actually, it's better to go for a walk, whether it be 15 minutes after breakfast, lunch and dinner. You start doing that every single day and that does an half rack up. And I tell you what, that 15 minutes of walking, because it's so easy, you can do it every day. You don't dread it. Unless it's absolutely heaving down outside, let's face it, or it's minus 30 and your eyelashes are getting all popsicled up. Really and truly, you could walk for the rest of your life. You could. I can foresee myself walking at the age of 70, 80, fingers crossed, and enjoying it still. Anyway, let's get on the subject. Let's cover up the sweet chili and go. So, what happened to me? What happened with me and my cardio? Why did I turn to weights? Well, I did it because I was sick to death of getting up in the crack of the morning. I would come downstairs, I would take a shit, because I could never go for a run without taking a shit. And I would sit on that toilet and I would cry. I would. Even though I was a good runner. I was a good runner. I very, very rarely got injured. Very rarely. Because I could run properly. I swear I was made to run because I can run and it hardly attacks my cardiovascular system. My body's motion, everything about it. Get me on a spin bike, mind you, and I will die within 5 minutes. But that's not the point. The point is I had had enough. Why? Because my body, and this is what happens when we do cardio, it had adapted to what I was doing to my body within a couple of weeks. Anything that you do cardio-wise, you don't have to use a lot of this for. The motion of a cycle, the motion of a run. You don't use your cognitive side very much. It's just the same motion. Your body becomes so adaptive to that cardio that within 2 weeks of doing a set routine of I'm going to run 5K 3 times a week, for example. First week, oh my God, I feel fantastic. I've lost weight, blah, blah, blah. Second week, haven't lost as much, but we'll keep going with it. Third week, I've lost nothing. What's going on? How can I lose that much week 1 and 2 and then I lose nothing in week 3? I know what I'm going to do. I'm now going to make matters worse. I don't think I'm doing it worse, but I'm going to anyway. And I'm now going to eat less but run the same. Oh, lo and behold, I lost a little bit more weight. Week 1, great, I'm back onto it. Now I just need to eat this little amount now. Fine, I'll run three times a week and I'll eat this little amount. Great. Second week, oh my God, why have I not lost anything? Why do I feel like I look bigger? What's happening? My body is not forgiving me. I have given my body an exercise that it's not only adapted to very quickly within the first few weeks. If I want to get any more results, as in fat loss, I need to up my game, which means I can't run 3 times a week. I've now got to run more than 3 times a week. You start adding that up and all of a sudden you're running 6 to 7 times a week. Paired, oh my God, with calorie restriction to the point where you're eating so fewer calories that even you don't know the meaning of living anymore. You are so saddened by the fact that every fucker around you can eat and you can't. And no matter what you do, no matter how little you eat, you restrict your calories, you up the running, and still the results are not coming through. Now you're convincing yourself that you've broken your metabolism, or worst case, that you've got some kind of adrenal fatigue, or that the hormones are to blame. You know, that's got to be it. Well, you could be right in a way, because cortisol is going to be right up here. The fact that you're placing this unnecessary cardio stress on your body every single day. Mentally it's fatiguing, physically it's fatiguing. It not only makes you hungry, but now you're restricting calories, which is another stress on the body. Your cortisol is through the roof. Now you're adding on things like HIIT training for 15, 20 minutes, thinking it's going to be the fat burner that you were looking for. And all of a sudden it's spiked now for 16 hours post HIIT. And you're now starting to store belly fat. You look bigger than ever. The girl at the gym who never does the cardio classes, she's always on the weight room. She looks like she eats twice as much food as me. In fact, she was shoving down a steak wrap after her workout as I'm secretly trying to sip on my water and fill up on gassy drinks so that I don't need to eat for the next few hours. And all the while, that girl in the gym who's lifting them weights has not only got a stronger metabolism, her body never ever gets used to her training stimulus because she's constantly weight training. Even if she tries something new in the weight room, it's a new adaptation. She adds a rep, it's a new adaptation. Every time she walks in that gym, it's a new adaptation. So even though when you start a weight training program, the results shouldn't be dramatic on the scales, believe it or not. Why is that? Well, when you lose weight or fat via cardio training alone, what happens? You, scientifically proven, lose just as much fat as you do muscle. So you start off at 25% body fat, you lose 10 pounds, 5 pounds of muscle, 5 pounds of fat. You are now a fatter version of yourself. Fact. You've done that via cardio, but not only that, you had to do it by doing X amount of cardio that now you've going to have to increase every single week, week on, week out. If you don't increase the cardio and the amount that you're doing to burn extra calories, then lo and behold, you've got to eat less calories. Now, what does that mean? It means that you started off at 1,500 calories, now you're eating 1,400, now you're eating 1,200, now you're at an all-time 1,000 calorie low. Your life feels shit. You can't eat properly. It is not a sustainable way to live long term and still get results. And yet you have slowed your metabolism. It's adapted to what you've been doing to it. It doesn't need muscle. Muscle's too expensive. Muscle is the Prada of the body. Whereas, unfortunately, when we're doing all this cardio, it's quite easy. The body needs money. Look at it that way. It needs money. It needs to be fed. And the fastest way that your body will get money is by taking it from your muscle. Why? Well, when you're cardio training, you're not telling the body that it needs any muscle. you lose muscle that your body doesn't need effectively. You only hold the amount of muscle that your body needs to survive day in, day out, okay? So if you're constantly feeding a signal to your body that we don't need any muscle because it's too expensive to hold on, I need to be light in order for this girl to run 6 to 7 times a week, I need to be on my feet, I need to be endurance. So the only way to do that is to strip the body of the muscle, and that means you end up fatter. Now what happens when you weight train is the complete opposite. Your body is an anabolic state. It thrives on building new tissue, which is the adaptation. So every single time that you go into that weight room, whether you're adding weight on the bar, whether you're doing higher rep work and low weights, or low rep work with high weights for strength, that doesn't matter. You still build muscle if you're taking your sets 1 or 2 reps shy of failure. Not to failure, that's key. So, I'm getting off on one now. Like I said, the body wants to hang on to that lean muscle tissue. And when you're doing too much cardio, or any cardio for that matter, it will send the signal that we don't need the muscle on this frame. We don't need it. We want to be lighter so that we can run faster. I've got to allow this woman to adapt with the few calories that she's feeding me, with the amount of excess cardio that she needs me to give her, so that I can break it down, and then the next run I'm going to be fully prepared because I've adapted for that. When you go into the weight room, even if you don't do as many sessions that week, your body is still building and repairing those tissues. So even though you're not a sweaty heap of mess, your heart's not in your throat, unless of course it's leg day, you are giving a reason, a signal to the brain. It's cognitive as well. In fact, it's proven later on in life to help with things like dementia. All right, listen, it's never going to help you to go into the fridge and wonder why the hell you went up, went in there. Or when you go up the stairs for something and you walk into the bathroom, you go, what was I in here for? That's not going to help, because that just happens to the best of us. But it will cognitive help you. This is why it's proven with people that doing puzzles, etc., and keep their brain active, that they live a healthier brain active lifestyle. It's the same with weight training. You have to fire off every single cylinder doing a squat, a deadlift, a push, a press, whatever. And for that to be able to translate into muscle, you have to use that brain of yours, because unlike running or spin or hit, where you're going through the same motions. Oh, it's a burpee, I'll jump back. Oh, it's a spin bike, I'll just keep pedaling. You don't need to use your brain, because that motion is very quick. How many times have we gone for a run and planned all of our life? Because you haven't got to think too much. You just put one foot in front of the other. Your body gets so used to doing that motion that it shuts this part down. So you're not using this. Now, if that didn't sell it for you, the fact that you look the absolute tits when you weight train is just another thing. Everybody says, oh, I don't want to be bulky and I don't want big muscles like some butch woman. Well, I hate to break it to you guys, but it's very hard to look butch, to look big. Even lifting more weights than most men in the gym, I find it very hard to look butch or to look bulky or sausage-like. I've got very little time left, guys, so I'm going to wrap this up and tell you about my quick deadlift situation today. The girl managed 6 sets of 6 reps at 105 kilos, which I was so super proud of. I went in there determined to get it. The only problem was I was absolutely busting for the P around set 5, and I didn't want to ruin the juju. So set 6 come, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so busting, but I'm not going to go. I'm just going to do the set. I managed 1 rep, 2 rep, 3 rep, 4 rep, 5 rep, and then I farted, and it completely put me off. I got my 6 reps, mind you, but that last one was wonky. But I got one back on Simon, who was in the death path, and he was like, fucking hell, Em. Oh, I did feel a little bit bad, but anyway. Have a wonderful Monday, guys.